So now it is really my honor and pleasure to introduce our speaker for today at the Population Health and Wellbeing series. Our speaker is Dr. Shagufta Feroz, and I will do a short introduction for her. And the topic that she's going to talk about is biological rhythms and nutrition synchronization for optimal health. So Dr. Shagufta, she has specialized in family medicine, and she's completed 2 PhDs from the USA in holistic nutrition and as well as in integrative medicine. She has certifications in lifestyle medicine, physician leadership, and positive psychology from Harvard University, USA. She's a diplomat of the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine and an only fellow of University of Arizona in integrative medicine from Pakistan. Her independent observational clinical research called Swipe for Health has given her clarity about the role of circadian rhythms in prevention and reversal of a disease, and laid the basis of her personalized lifestyle modifications program. She has developed this program over a period of 10 years on about 25,000 patients coming to her family medicine clinic. Her book, Living as Nature Intended, explains in detail the scientific background of a program and offers comprehensive guidelines for incorporating Swipe for Health for various aspects of human health. She's the founder president of Pakistan Association of Lifestyle Medicine since 2017 and the founder of Happiness Movement in Pakistan. She's also professor adjunct at the Health Sciences Academy and director of Riphah Institute of Lifestyle Medicine, Riphah University. The institute runs postgraduate and undergraduate courses for doctors and medical students. So Dr. Shagufta Feroz, really excited to have you as our expert for today. And we are really looking forward to your talk, and we are honored to have you with us. So over to you, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suhaila and Dr. Rami Mamtani, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this prestigious forum. And I'm very hopeful that once I'm going to finish my presentation, all of you will definitely feel like that this was something which we all need to learn about our daily routine. So the topic is biological rhythm, nutrition, synchronization, and optimal health. I have to disclose that I have no relevant financial relationships to disclose, and I will not be discussing unlabeled, unapproved use of drugs or products during my presentation. And I'll be focusing on the significance of biological rhythms for whole health. I'll be discussing food, meal, synchronization, the importance of gut rhythm in optimal nutrient absorption. Then we'll be discussing eating rules in synchronization with the biological clock. Raji, before I proceed, can you please help me managing the poll questions, please? So we have 2 poll questions for you, just to have an idea, rather to give you an idea or get an idea about your eating habits. And these are very simple poll questions. And the question number 1 is, how many of you focus on a healthy breakfast? Number 1, within 2 hours of waking up, you consume your breakfast. You are more into packaged cereals. You consume eggs every day and you think that it is safe, or you think that black coffee with breakfast is safe to consume. Question number 2, please. So there are 2 questions and you'll be given ample time. How many glasses of water do you take every day? 6 to 7 glasses of water. Chilled water is safe to consume. Water during meals is healthy, or 3 liters per day. What are your opinion about water intake? So these are the questions which you will be answering as you are doing. So let's go back to the topic of circadian rhythms. The universe follows a circadian rhythm, and the science talks about the sleep and wake cycle, and Quran also explains the importance of day and night. So when we talk about rhythms, there are rhythms going on at macro and at micro level both. So these are the different rhythms. I will not be going into the details of these rhythms, but there are rhythms which follow day and night. Then there are rhythms which are for 24 hours. Then there are few rhythms or cycles which last less than 24 hours. Then there are cycles which run on monthly basis. And then there are cycles or rhythms which are running. There are many more which are running on the basis of 1 year. Just to give you an idea that the topic is not new. It is there. It is there, but probably these rhythms or the cycles or rhythmic activities are happening at subtle level, and we humans probably don't realize that they even are happening moment to moment in our cells also. So the mammalian circadian clock system orchestrates daily rhythms in behavior and physiology, allowing animals to anticipate environmental changes and synchronize their internal processes accordingly. When I was reading this research, I can recall, or all of us can recall, that whenever there is earthquake, the dogs are very sensitive to the change in the frequency. So the word that they anticipate environmental changes. In 2010 in Pakistan, we had bad floods also. This year also we are having very devastating floods. But in 2010, there was a phenomena observed, and there was a documentary on this by BBC. And the phenomena was that the area which was about to hit by the devastating flood, the trees in that area they were covered with these spider webs. And those webs were, I mean, nobody has seen those types of webs. The trees were covered in webs. And after, I think, few weeks interval, that the whole region was hit by floods. And then the scientists have related that the spiders were there just to eat the massive population of mosquitoes in the flood area. And the same phenomena happened in 2012 in Australia also. So I like this research. That is why I included in my slides. The concept of a web of pacemakers has been largely adopted, in which suprachiasmatic nucleus controls the tempo of oscillators in peripheral tissues through yet ill-defined pathways. By regulating the sleep-wake cycle, the suprachiasmatic nucleus indirectly evokes the feeding-fasting cycle. So ultimately, I'll be connecting the feeding-fasting cycle to the sleep-wake cycle. And we all know that, especially for the youth, that the sleep-wake cycle is currently disrupted. The key difference between biological clock and circadian rhythm is that the biological clock is an organism's innate timing device composed of specific molecules that interact with cells throughout the body. These actually, the chemistry of these molecules is that they are amino acids. So proteins are there. So the major composition of suprachiasmatic nucleus or biological clock is of proteins. So this clock interacts with the cells throughout the body, while the circadian rhythm is a physical, mental, and behavioral change that follows a daily cycle. So the process is called circadian rhythm, and which follows the instructions of biological clock. These are actually two different things. So autonomous circadian clocks are also present in numerous tissues outside of the suprachiasmatic nucleus, including cell types essential for regulation of glucose metabolism, such as pancreatic beta cells, skeletal myocytes, and hepatocytes. The SCN integrates and synchronizes peripheral circadian clocks to the solar day by employing a combination of neural, behavioral, and endocrine outputs. So the connection between SCN and the peripheral oscillators is through neurons, behavior, and endocrine outputs. My observation is that people who don't consume breakfast, who are not into healthy breakfast, they do suffer from pre-diabetic states or diabetes, or their diabetes is not well controlled. This is what is common observation in my practice. What is entrainment? Entrainment is the synchronization or alignment of the internal biological clock, including its phase and period, to external time cues, such as the natural dark light cycle. So, entrainment is an important characteristic of interactions between brain rhythms, and it refers to the coupling of two independent oscillatory systems in such a way that their periods of oscillations become related by virtue of phase and alignment. So entrainment is actually the synchronization of the external clock, which is the daylight cycle, and the internal clock. Recent findings demonstrated system-wide metabolic coordination between tissues over the circadian rhythm. So it is not restricted only to the peripheral oscillators. Tissues are also following the messages or the input from the circadian cycle. Genetic ablation of the clock in the pancreatic beta cells disrupts clock-dependent insulin signaling in the liver, while lung carcinoma distally rewires circadian homeostasis in the liver. Look at this clever carcinoma. I was reading some other research which says that lung carcinoma switches off 46 the rhythm controlling genes in the liver to facilitate the sugar metabolism for its growth. So we can understand how important is the need of entrainment actually for us. Thus, identifying the interplay between peripheral clocks will provide critical information on physiology and disease. Therefore, circadian rhythms are connected with the regulation of homeostasis and liver health. How circadian rhythms are controlling homeostasis? As the receptors are there in beta pancreatic cells, so they are connected with blood sugar regulations, they are connected with number of immune cells, they are connected with the regulation of optimal core temperature, then acid-base balance, especially blood pH, food cravings to maintain biochemical individuality, and sleep-wake cycle. So these are the important homeostatic regulations which are done by the biological clock or the circadian rhythm. This is very important because this is going to be related to our eating habits. Homeostasis in intestinal epithelium is orchestrated by the circadian clock, and microbiota or intestinal flora or microbiome cues transduced by TLRS. These are very interesting receptors. These are called toll-like receptors, because these receptors were discovered in a fly called Drosophila toll. So what these receptors are doing actually, these receptors provide first line of defense for our body, and they are able to identify the bacteria, pathogens, and even the toxins released by the bacteria. And the most interesting part of these receptors is that they are able to connect our innate immune system. We are born with an innate immune system, and the other is adaptive immune system. So TLRs are responsible for connecting our innate immune system with the adaptive immune system. So we can understand from this slide that intestinal epithelium is regulated by these receptors also. So our immunity somehow is connected to the health of our intestine or health of our gut. The intestinal microbiome is regulated by circadian rhythms via intrinsic circadian clocks as well as via the host organism. Microbiome rhythms are regulated by the diet and the time of feeding, because time is again connected to SCN, and SCN is connected to sunrise and sunset. So I am going to repeat this. The microbiome rhythms are regulated by the diet and the time of feeding, which can alter both microbial community structure and metabolic activity, which can significantly impact host immune and metabolic function. Probably from these last three lines, we all can understand why this planet is struck by NCDs, non-communicable diseases, because we have gone very, very non-serious about our eating habits. So there is no proper healthy food and there are no timings. When circadian rhythms, they are thrown off for any reason, it can affect the part of the brain that controls functions like producing digestive enzymes like amylase and pepsin. Aligning eating and sleeping habits to match up with body's natural tendencies is one way to honor one's bioindividuality. Simply, one has to adjust meal times to support optimal metabolism and reduce risk of weight gain and obesity-related conditions. Researchers have also noted that the basic rhythmicity of the gut microbiome is described by an increase of firmicutes during feeding periods, followed by its decrease over time during the day. So these firmicutes are connected to the daytime or daylight, and their number decreases at night. The flora or the microbiome, which is active at night, is these bacteroidetes, proteobacteria, and verrucomicrobia are more present during fasting periods. So bacteria that feed on fiber, they grow at night as food residues reach the colon. So I call these bacteria the scavengers, or the bacteria which are responsible for cleaning our gut. So if we have not consumed a food which is rich in fiber during the day, these bacteria will not have enough roughage or fuel to get healthy, and they will not be doing enough detox or cleansing of our intestines, which we need definitely very badly. All of us need this detox, which should happen in our gut. Polyphenol and some probiotic fibers, such as galacto-oligosaccharides found in plant sources and breast milk, respectively, are able to consolidate the circadian rhythm by increasing gut microbiota diversity. So that is why we talk about food which is high in fiber, because they feed different families of bacteria which are present in our microbiome. And you probably, I think you all might be familiar that our gut carries about 100 trillion of bacteria. So the number of bacteria in our gut is about 3 times more than the number of cells our body carries. Our body carries approximately, I'm not sure that it is the exact figure, but our body carries about 34, 35 plus trillion cells. And these gut bacteria are 100 trillion, and their total weight is about 5 pounds, about 5 pounds. So you can understand how important is to support, to nourish our intestinal bacteria for our immunity. So in conclusion, both your diet and your lifestyle can affect gut microbiota, health and balance. A healthy diet that is high in fiber and a regular eating schedule during the day are tools which we can easily access for improving gut microbiota rhythmicity. Meanwhile, behaviors that include eating at night, alcohol consumption, and sleep disorder need to be avoided. So chrono-nutrition is an emerging field building on the relationship between temporal eating patterns, circadian rhythms, and metabolic health. Evidence from both animal and human research demonstrates adverse metabolic consequences of circadian disruption. A temporal eating pattern means you are conscious about your dietary discipline. So the frequency, the timings, the combinations are called temporal eating patterns. So how our digestion is impaired? Digestion is impaired by selection of wrong type of food, time of food intake, wrong time of food intake, by not chewing our food properly, by frequent snacking, not leaving enough gap between meals, eating late night, drinking cold or chilled water with our food, drinking liquid between and after meals, poor method of cooking, mindless eating, especially with screens. These are the things which are very serious. Apparently, we don't take these points seriously, but these are the things which actually desync us from the biological rhythm, and they lead to dysbiosis. And dysbiosis is unhealthy microbiome, or poor colonies, or unhealthy number of bacteria in our gut. So correct way of eating and dietary habits, they regulate our homeostasis, especially our core temperature. And core temperature is connected to our immune system also. So you are what you eat, digest, absorb, and excrete. By only eating healthy foods, we can't be healthy. So we have to digest, and excretion is very important. Therefore, good nutrition, digestive health, and dietary discipline are crucial for maintaining vital force. Before proceeding, I would like Raji to share with us the poll results.
Are you able to see the results, Dr. Shagufta?
Yes, I can see the results. Yes. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I feel many of you are conscious about your health. Many of you are conscious. I can just conclude from the results. So what are the 8 basic rules of correct eating which help us synchronizing our food with ongoing biological rhythms? Number 1 is mindful eating. I will not go into every detail of this slide, but according to Harvard School of Public Health, 7 practices of mindful eating are: honor the food, acknowledge where the food was grown and who prepared the meal, eat without distractions to help deepen the eating experience, which is not there. Many of us know this. Engage all senses, notice the sounds, colors, smells, taste, and texture of the food, and how you feel when eating. Pause periodically to engage these senses. Serve in modest portions. This can help avoid overeating and food waste. Use a dinner plate no larger than 9 inches across and fill it only once. Savor small bites and chew thoroughly. These practices can help slow down the meal and fully experience the food's behavior. When I was not aware of these 7 practices of mindful eating, I used to quote Mahatma Gandhi's, I read somewhere, he used to say, chew your water and drink your food. I used to quote this. Later on, I got these 7 practices, and then I learned in my PhD also. So eat slowly to avoid overeating. If you eat slowly, you are more likely to recognize when you are feeling satisfied or when you are about 80% full and can stop eating. Don't skip meal. Going too long without eating increases the risk of strong hunger. And body will compensate the quantity which you have missed in the next meal. This is what happens. Eat a plant-based diet for your health and for the planet. Consider the long-term effects of eating certain foods. Processed meat and saturated fat are associated with an increased risk of colon cancer and heart disease. Production of animal-based foods like meat and dairy takes a heavy toll on our environment than plant-based foods. So number 1 rule is mindful eating. So now try to eat food, I always tell people, allocate at least 10 minutes for consuming your meal. So tell your body, tell your brain, tell your gut that now you are going to eat and celebrate your food. Look at your food and try to feel the taste of the food. So at your mind level, the body, the gut is ready to digest the food. And never put your devices on the table. I always tell my patients, put your phone even on mute. You should not hear even the ringtone of your phone. Put your phone at some other room and put it in the mute mode. So this is very important, especially for the mothers, if they are feeding their child with putting some cartoons on the YouTube or Netflix. And I see many young mothers who are in a habit because child doesn't know what he or she is eating because their mind is engaged in the YouTube activity. So please avoid this because these are the children who later on suffer from malabsorption, from behavioral disorders, and they come with many, many deficiencies at an early age. So the second rule is whole food plant-based diet. I think most of you are familiar with this term because this is ours. This is lifestyle medicine movement. So you know that it includes whole grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, and small quantities of nuts and seeds. What are the healthy effects of whole food plant-based diet? It controls inflammation, it controls oxidative damage, it regulates dysbiosis, hormonal regulation, improving circulation, gene expression, and activation of telomerase enzymes to slow the aging process. Number 3 rule is meal timings are the key to whole health. So eating breakfast affects our body's biological clock. Or you can say, as we learned earlier, that breakfast is the meal which helps us in entrainment. So this helps us getting ready for quality sleep later in the evening. And this is so true, so true. Whenever I see insomnia patients, I always ask them what breakfast you are on. Either they are not consuming breakfast, they are taking breakfast at their workplaces, or they are consuming very unhealthy combinations. Few combinations are also lethal, I'll be discussing later. So they are into mindless eating. So according to this biological rhythm research, that breakfast regulates the night sleep as well. So that means preparation for a good night's rest starts shortly after the morning alarm. The term breakfast means breaking the fast. And at some point in our day, all of us do that, whether it is 7 a.m. or noon. Ideally, the recommendation is to put some food in your belly within 2 hours of getting up for the day. And I'm sorry, but that is why I have seen people doing intermittent fasting with bad results. So they are normally starting their day around noon. So it helps them losing weight, but they do come back with many metabolic imbalances, like their sugar is disturbed or they come with rebound obesity. A growing body of evidence highlights the importance of the biological clock as a modulator of energy balance and metabolism. Recent studies in humans have shown that ingested calories are apparently utilized more efficiently in the morning than in the evening, and this is manifested through improved weight loss, even under isoenergetic calorie intake. If I share with you my experience, when I am trying to put a young child of age about 8 to 10 years, and I'm trying to introduce breakfast, it becomes very difficult for a child to start breakfast. So what I do, I try to fix their favorite foods for the breakfast, which are not the healthy foods. Those are the foods which are loaded with calories. But we have seen in the past about 15, 17 years that their problems, they start settling. Taking bit unhealthy breakfast beautifully synchronizes their body. And after a few weeks, when they come, they just tell me that they don't want to eat the food which they were liking previously. So by putting unhealthy foods at the right time, activates the body wisdom, and the rhythms are synchronized, and body stops looking for unhealthy foods. This is the innate healing mechanism. So food combinations. Combination food means any single serving of food that contains 2 or more of the required food components. Each food group includes a variety of foods that are similar in nutritional makeup, and each group plays an important role in an overall healthy eating pattern. Some of the food groups are broken down further into subgroups to emphasize foods that are particularly good sources of certain vitamins and minerals. Mix acid with alkaline foods for optimum blood pH. The functioning of our body as a doctor and healthcare professionals, we all know that there is a very narrow window where the body, all the biological functions are working. Like pH range is very narrow. Then you know about the body temperature. There is a narrow range of body temperature. So we have to be very, very cautious about the delicacy of our biological systems by taking this body as a sacred body. But the thing which is most neglected and abused is our foods. And this is common observation all over the world, wherever you go, except few nations who are very conscious about their eating patterns. So a dietary approach that advocates the eating of specific foods at specific time and restricts which types of foods can be eaten together. Tea is something good for us. Tea has got antioxidants which are called catechins. Milk is also good for us, and milk has got casein. But when we make English tea, the milk has to be added in a very small quantity. But I have seen people, I don't know about your country, but here in Pakistan, I have seen that the ratio of milk in tea is either equal or it is more than the tea or the extract or the kava. And this tea will give you some problems, especially digestive disorders, because catechins will not function in the presence of overload of caseins. So this is a common mistake or blunder, which I see in my day-to-day practice. Then food temperature is very important. Most of us, I think, are not very conscious about the temperature of food which we consume. Normal practice is that we are consuming warm or hot foods, and if we are having water or any other drink, it is cold. So by combining cold or hot foods together in terms of temperature gives a problem to the stomach, because stomach has to bring the temperature of the food close to the body temperature. So ideally, it is recommended that the temperature of the food should be close to the body temperature. Then food rotation. We are not supposed to consume one type of food every day. This is my observation, that I see patients who come and say, when I ask them, when I take the details of their breakfast, they say, we are having Quaker oats in our breakfast. Okay, oats are good. Since how long you are on these oats? No, we can't recall, Dr. Saab. We think we are having this oats for the past 10, 15 years. So even I can't imagine how a person can keep eating one type of food every day. So we have to rotate food to get more nutrients for longevity, to decrease risk of metabolic syndrome, to lose in inches. The overload of one type of nutrients shifts the blood pH. Suppose we are consuming foods which are more in alkaline nature. Alkaline foods are those foods which contains minerals like calcium, magnesium, which are rich in calcium and magnesium. So these foods are going to shift the blood pH to little more on the alkaline side. 7.35 might become 7.38. And the shift in pH is something very serious for the body. Homeostasis shift is happening in the body. And homeostasis shifts leads to the release of cortisol and start of inflammation. So by simply adding more options in your food, we all can protect our body from upcoming disease process or from any inflammatory processes. Then comes the seventh rule is food preferences. We all are unique. We all carry biochemical individuality. Biochemical individuality refers to the unique nutritional needs each person has based on their genetics, lifestyle, and environmental exposure to various stresses. Biochemistry is a complex web of interactions that controls the way your body uses amino acids, vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, and fats for all your body functions. I have seen identical twins craving for different sets of foods. So I was surprised, how come identical twins were carrying different biochemical individuality? But this is what I learned in my practice. So water intake, we are not even conscious about taking water. If you calculate about yourself, I don't think most of us are consuming around 2.5 to 3 liters of water. So it is recommended because on an average, kidney produces 1.5 liters of urine. So we are supposed to consume 2.5 to 3 liters of water to keep the water of the body in a balance. Then time in relation to meals, it should not be always with the meal. It should be prior to the meal or about 1.5 to 2 hours after the meal. Temperature of water is important. It should not be chilled. We can compare two nations. You know that Chinese, they prefer taking warm or hot water. And there are certain characteristics which we can observe them as a nation. Their aging process is slow. And whenever I talk to some Chinese physician, they always say, why do people consume cold water? We don't know why you people are in a habit of consuming cold water. So we have to opt for water, which is at room temperature. So these are the very simple things which we know, but we forget. So drinking enough water each day is crucial for many reasons: to regulate body temperature, keep joints lubricated, prevent infections, deliver nutrients to cells, and keep organs functioning properly. Being well hydrated also improves sleep quality, cognition, and mood. So eat correctly to sync with the ongoing biological rhythms to get maximum holistic benefits of the meals. Thank you very much.